Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Vibrate in Between. I'm your host here, Chantel, and I got a download from God, Source, the Divine One, and I wanted to share it with you. So let's get into it. This topic is about being in a state of confusion. I didn't really have a title for it off the back of my hand or like at the top of my head, but I just hit record and I just want to record it as it's fresh and I'll think of a title after. But yeah, let's get into it, because a lot of in this moment I'm realizing I've had a lot of experiences back to back, whether it be from myself or witnessing other people's experiences when it comes to confusion. And the way that this download is coming through hot is honestly allowing ourselves to be confused. And that requires surrendering. And that could be tough for some people, but it doesn't have to be. The more that we let go and we have faith and trust in Source, in God, the God within, God that is always around, God that created all of us, right? That is when we truly start feeling alive. We're already living. We're already alive, right? But when we truly know how to surrender that control, surrender that sense of safety, right? Like I'm beginning to really see safety doesn't really exist in the way, I'm paraphrasing, but the way that I received that definition of what people perceive to be safety is, I remember Shaman Durek saying on a video once that safety doesn't really exist. Like, so let's redefine all of that. And I paraphrase, he says something about we're either in a balanced state or we're really walking truly within our consistent, evolved self, right? Like consistently being evolved, intentionally evolving, right? Consistently walking in that higher frequency. And it's not to say we don't make mistakes. We're not perfect the way the Matrix is trying to like push on us to be perfect. No. But I couldn't agree more with what he was saying and the way that I interpreted it when I received that message from him. I combined that with that whole sense of being confused so much that it has helped me see that being confused is okay. Because I'm either going to be walking in a balanced state where I'm balancing out my karma, right? And that comes with challenges, that comes with trials, that comes with feeling not so easy, feeling not so, like always like feeling like secure in a sense, because I'm going to go through things that make me feel like not so great. You know, I'm not going to feel joy all the damn time, right? It's always going to have a peacefulness underlying everything, but it doesn't mean that the bumpy road doesn't have some emotional state attached to it sometimes. Like, I'm going to go through hurdles. I'm going to go through challenges. I'm going to go through things that don't always feel pleasant. Being comfortable with being uncomfortable. People hear that all the time. So again, this is coming in hot, so I'm just letting it flow like a river, like a waterfall. Any way that it comes out, I'm just letting it go, right? This isn't set up where I have notes and cards and all of that. This is a raw download from God, from the universe. Thank you, Cosmos. Thank you, God. Thank you, guardian angels, for being around me as I'm letting loose. So yeah, I'm sharing this with y'all because this is helpful for me too, to just express myself and to share this. God gave me it. So I'm letting it out because I know it's not just for me, it's for whoever wants to listen. So thank you for hitting play, and I hope that this resonates with you and it helps you on your journey. If you're confused If you're feeling like, damn, I don't want to feel so confused. I don't want to feel like I don't know something. I don't want to feel like I don't know the answer. I don't want to feel so stagnant and stuck. Let go. Don't be attached to the outcome. The reason why people feel confused could be a number of reasons. But from the things that I've seen people go through and from the things that I've experienced myself, when I'm in a state of confusion and I feel like, the part of my ego that wants to know everything and do everything and be like A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, that's coming from wanting to always feel safe. And I'm going to be the one that creates that safety for me. Source isn't going to do that for me. And to be real, that's like a slap in the face to God, because you're not allowing yourself to actually be. You're not allowing yourself to actually flow. You're not allowing yourself to accept the fact that it's okay to not know. It's okay to not know. And confusion is a great space to be in because it's another level up and it's getting closer to clarity. I feel like people don't give themselves enough credit for being confused, to being in a state of confusion. Should I go left? Should I go right? And a lot of times when people are in that space of should I go left? Should I go right? They don't want to make the wrong choice, so-called wrong choice. I'll be real with you. There's not really a wrong choice in a sense, because you're still going to get to your destination one way or another. You may go down a path that takes you a lot longer to reach your destination, to reach your goal, to reach, what you're aspiring to accomplish. But you're still going to get there. It just may take a little longer. You may have to go through a little more hurdles and trials and tribute. Like, you're gonna have to go through some things, and just accepting that ride and enjoying it, allowing yourself to have fun with how it flows, helps as well, so that you're not coming down on yourself so much. I remember times where I've come down on myself so much for making a choice and then being like, dang, if I didn't make that choice in that way, I would have been here by now. Instead of just embracing the lessons that come along with it, I've learned that, and I'm applying that very thing, just to have fun in the midst of exploring. It's okay to not know everything. It's okay to just let go. It's okay to just walk and skip down that road, right? And have fun with it. Do some twirls, do some cartwheels, right? Do some jumping jacks and just have fun with it. Be a kid down that road as I'm walking and playing in it, because I'm still going to get to my destination. I'm still going to get there, whether it's in this lifetime or the next lifetime or the one after that. Who knows what lifetime? But I'm still making progress in this lifetime, and that's all that really matters. It's not what the Matrix tries to claim it to be. When you get caught up in what the Matrix wants you to really focus on, what the government, the corruption of the world wants you to focus on, which is like just the money and the status and the popularity and not wanting to disappoint anybody, right? All of that is Matrix talk. All of that is trying to meet other people's expectations, when all you really needed to do in the first place was just meet your own divine expectation through the source, which is just truly just being your authentic self. You were already given everything. I was given everything. Everybody was given everything. We don't come to this world incomplete. Everything is within us. Everything is within our chakras. Everything is within our soul, our spirit. So why are we walking around acting like we ain't got nothing? Why are we walking around acting like, if I don't make this choice, if I make this bad one, if I do this, this and that, or this thought, why am I having this thought? I'm feeling so confused, as if that's not a part of the process. When you really think about it, being a human, I know it feels very complex sometimes. Like, I have compassion for that. But at the same time, we got to understand that we all agreed to a soul contract when we came here. We all agreed on a soul contract when we came here, outlining our karma from past lives, outlining who we choose to be in this current life, trying to understand why we made choices that we made in this current body, in past bodies, right? Our memory was pretty much erased, but we're here to remember. We're here to remember our divine right. We're here to remember our powers. We're here to remember how beautiful we are. We're here to remember what choices did I make and why. What's the why behind the what? And how can I prosper from here? How can I rejoice from here? How can I give myself grace? How can I learn how to love better? That is the goal here. That is our divine nature, is to love. And how can we love better? So I say all that to say that whenever I've been confused, I look back on it and I'm like, wow, there are times I really beat myself up. There were times where I really was so hard on myself for not knowing the answer or for making a decision I thought was the wrong choice, and then getting really hung up on. I was like really on a hook, right? Like something was hooked in me. Really getting hooked on that whole matrix talk. Like, I gotta make this amount of money doing this type of career, and if I don't, then X, Y, and Z, and really manifesting the very thing I was afraid of, right? And sometimes that's what it takes. You got to go through all of those hurdles to really know deep down who you really are as a divine person, as a divine soul, right? I had to personally lose everything. I lost so many things, but the one thing I didn't lose was the fact that I'm a soul, was the fact that I'm a spirit. That doesn't go away. I am forever. I am eternal, right? I am omnipotent. Nothing can destroy me. I lost all of the physical stuff at some point in my life. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have woken up the way that I did, and the capacity that I did, and the timing that I did. So I just allow it to flow. I allow myself to see. I allow myself to be. I allow myself to forgive myself, forgive others, be open to complete forgiveness on myself and on others. Not comparing myself to somebody else and what they got and what they doing and how they're doing it, looking over my own fence and seeing how green is it on the other person's yard. No, let me focus on my own garden, focus on my own grass, focus on my own soul's evolution, which in the end contributes to the collective consciousness. It all starts with myself. And I'll be honest with you, back in the day, I didn't think that's how it was supposed to be. I was like, what you mean I only got to focus on me? That person over there is doing X, Y, and Z. Why can't I focus on them? They're the one doing the wrong thing. I feel confused. That doesn't make any sense. And now that I'm older and now that I'm more mature spiritually, it took a long fucking road for me to get to this point. And I still got light years to go. But for where I am right now, like, I'm really grateful that I can even just laugh at the fact that back then I really was hung up on the whole, I gotta fix people. And if I don't fix them, if I don't help them, if I don't give them unsolicited advice, you know what I'm saying? Then I'm not doing my job. So I had a state of confusion around all of that and how to work on it, because it was conditioning. And now that I'm older and now that I'm more grounded and I'm focusing on me and the trauma that I went through and transcending that trauma, transcending that pain to feel more light, to exude all of that light, to radiate all of that light, that took for me to be playful. That took for me to not take shit so seriously. That took for me to learn how to love the darkness, to learn how to love the negativity, to know how to love the challenges, to know how to love making mistakes so that I can be more graceful and more harmonious and just allow things to just be. You know how confusing saying all of this was back in the day? It was confusing because I'm like, what you mean? And now I'm older, I'm like, okay, yeah, I see. And when I did understand it intellectually, I had to learn how to apply it to my heart so that I could walk in it, not just talk in it, but just, really walk in it and be consistent. That's the key. When you know what you know, and that's the highest light to operate in, right? Okay, I ought to operate in this way because it's a higher frequency. Your heart sometimes has to catch up with what you know. Your demonstration has to catch up with what you know, right? It has to hit the mind, it has to hit the heart, and then you gotta really walk in it. And not just walk in it sometimes, but really evolve in it. And if you make a mistake, you make a mistake, just brush it off. Otherwise, you'll just be in a cycle of like, damn, I made a mistake and now I'm not worthy. And of course I made a mistake. I never will change. And then there's that cycle. But instead of going in a loop with that nonsense, just give yourself grace. Okay, I made a mistake. I truly want to learn from it, dismantle that, transcend it, and move forward and be more consistent so I'm not in this in-between stage constantly. And that's what we're evolving to. We're evolving in the unconditional love. We're evolving in being consistent in the high frequency. So we're not playing ourselves. You know what I mean? Because if I'm playing myself, I'm hurting myself. And if I'm hurting myself, essentially it's hurting others around me. And I want to be, more conscious in that, more energetically responsible, because how I show up in the world contributes to everyone else's evolution as well. We're all connected. Ain't nobody out here who's really healed until we are all healed. So I say that to say, if you're confused, God told me to tell you, the God in you, and you already know this for yourself. I'm just reminding you. Give yourself grace for being confused. Give yourself grace. You're just going to know what it is soon enough. In the meantime, the more that you're playful, the more you have fun, the more you don't put so much pressure on yourself, the better off you'll be and you'll get your answer. Whether it be in an hour, it might be tomorrow, it might be in a year from now, who knows? But just allow yourself to be, accept what is, accept being in the in-between. And then, with intentionality, meditate with intentionality, pray about it with intentionality, leave it in God's basket. Say, hey, God, I leave this at your feet. I leave this in your hands. I leave this in your basket. I know you got a big basket, but I know you know what's best. And just allow it to unfold. That's true faith. Instead of always trying to think, overanalyze. Just allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself to have fun. Allow yourself to enjoy the sun. Allow yourself to enjoy the water. Whatever you like to do, be in nature. Whatever you like to do creatively, allow yourself to be. Cater to your child, your inner child, right? Your soul. And then you'll be surprised a lot of the times that the answer will come, because you're not taking life so seriously the way the Matrix wants us to do it, but I'm not going to give it the satisfaction. So you might as well not give the Matrix a satisfaction either. Learn how to navigate through the Matrix with playfulness. This is all a game in the end anyways. We're all in a game. So just enjoy it. Even though it's painful, even though we got tears sometimes, we're only human. It's okay to feel what you feel, but don't let that define you. Don't identify with it. Transcend it. Allow yourself to fully feel what you feel, but then do something intentionally to transcend it, because it's very easy to transcend it. We just make it more difficult to transcend. The more that we identify with the pain, you know what I mean? And that's another thing that's coming in right now that I want to say, because it's on my heart. I've gone through this as well, and I actually did a Reiki healing on myself yesterday, and then I did it twice, 2 or 3 times yesterday on myself, because I was into it. I did it in a group setting, and then I did it on my own prior to the group setting. And then someone did a session on me. It was very profound. I felt myself, my inner God. I felt God around me. I felt God in other people, right? And the thing that's on my heart to say is, through this experience, looking at my chakras, looking at any blockages, looking how to expand them, the chakras, the energy, the light within me. It's coming in like this, right? Myself included, I've been there, and I noticed it through the healing. I've seen people go through this. Sometimes humans love to hang on to their story because it gives them a sense of identity or an excuse to not evolve. And that's a matrix thing too. It's okay to have a story. It's okay that you see power in what you've gone through. But how we go about it makes all the difference. Because there are people out here who are looking at what they've gone through, the trauma, the pain, right? Been molested, been raped, been abused, been robbed, right? Gone through X, Y, and Z. And they look at that as, oh, now, yes, that's my story. And I'm going to use that to catapult me in a way, in the egotistical way, where that's all that I identify with. And that's what makes me better than the next person, because I gone through this, and look at me, I made it out, and I'm able to see, and maybe you're not able to see, or, you know, it's like a moment of, some people can go through it and see how spiritually evolved they've come, but then the spirituality kind of turns into kind of like a narcissism of, yeah, now I made it to the other side. What are you doing? Right? And that's comparison. Or it's how it's coming in is trauma becomes an identity to the point where you feel like you're still there. It stops you from transcending, because on the other side of transcending is so much bliss. The other side of transcending the darkness, negativity, the pain, the trauma is so much bliss, so much freedom, so much like you feel it, like so much joy. And some people who are not used to that will feel like, okay, I'd rather go with what's familiar. I like being on guard. I like, protecting myself and creating a sense of safety for myself in this way. I don't trust you. I don't know you like that. You don't know me. I found myself looking at that and loving that aspect of me, that shadow, right? My shadow came to me and was like, yo, open this box. And I opened the box and I'm like, oh, wow, okay. Spiritual narcissism, having a wall up, trust issues. I know what's best. Perfectionism in the matrix type of way. I was like, oh, dang, there's a little bit of residue. Okay, let me look at that. superiority in terms of like, I know, a fake sense of protecting myself, right? Because I feel like everyone should bet on themselves, though. I feel like the only person that really knows you is yourself. But there are people around you who are here to give you insights on your blind spots. And it's God's way of using a vessel to be like, okay, I'm bringing this person into your life, whether it's very brief or for a long time, to help you see what you haven't really been able to see on your own. So allow that insight, because they're doing this for your highest good. They want more for you. They're saying this because they want you to get out of your own way. They're not doing it from a space of wanting to, like, they need to tell you what to do or whatever. No, it's because they care about you. They have love for you. They care about people. They want to see the world grow. So just accept that insight. So I accepted that insight from others. I accepted that insight from God speaking through them, God speaking to me directly. And that has loosened up so much blockage where I was creating a false sense of safety for myself. And the reason why I was doing that was because I've been lied to so much my whole life by people who were supposed to be so-called like the protectors. How, you look at certain figures, parental figures, family dynamics as the protectors. And if they, didn't do their job in the way that you think they should have, and, now you're at a point where it's like, okay, I parented so many guardians and so many people who had that role. I parented them. Now I'm over here trying to parent myself. And as I'm doing that, I'm learning which way is way more effective versus the other way I was doing it, which was a little more detrimental. But as I learn, I'm like, you know what? It's okay to let my guard down. It's okay to love people, even if it's at a distance based on where they're at and their evolution. It's okay to trust my intuition. It's okay to understand that when anxiety comes up, it's because it's showing me something about my trigger, and it's showing me something about that person that maybe they gotta work on something, in a playful, graceful way. So, don't disregard your nervous system. Don't disregard your intuition. It's telling you something. Our bodies know best. And it's letting us know what to work on in a playful way. So for myself, I'm like, you know what? Those multiple Reiki sessions that I went to yesterday led me to create this episode today revolving around confusion, because confusion can be such a powerful thing. I know it's not clear cut, straight to the point type of energy that a lot of people are looking for, but it gets you to that point. So for me, it got me to the point where I'm like, okay, blockages happen, but they don't have to be so tough, and they don't have to be so prevalent constantly. So when I looked at them, I was like, oh wow, okay, I'm feeling it. And I allow myself to expand in all my chakras. I allow myself to explode in all my chakras. I allow myself to receive that light in all my chakras. I allow myself to kiss the shadow in all of my chakras. I allow myself to kiss the darkness in all of my chakras, because loving all of that allows me to love all of me. Loving all of that allows me to love that aspect of me. And I'm not the pain that I went through. I don't have to create this story around it where it's like, it doesn't have to be so like grandiose in that sense, because the only grandiose one is the one, God, and God chose to create me, and God is within me. And I'll be honest with you, it's okay to have an ego. I have a really big ego, and I do want it to get bigger. Never thought I would say that couple years back. But there's nothing wrong with having ego. The only thing that people got to watch out for, including myself, is just don't get tricked. I'm not going to get tricked, but I'm just saying it got to a point where I'm like, I can say that I'm not going to get tricked before I would. So I say that to say, let's not get tricked in the area of using the ego to put someone down, using the ego to even subtly put somebody down, even in the mind, right? Because you can have thoughts that you don't say out loud, but if you check yourself, then you can be like, okay, yeah, that was something lower vibe that I'm not going to fall for. It's not to say that thoughts won't ever happen, but you're not going to fall for it. So I chose not to fall for it because I know better now. I know I've been knowing better for some time. And as I grew in that, I looked at my chakras more deeply and I was like, okay, there's a little bit of residue of, well, how can they not get it? It's simple. I had residue of, well, how can they not get it? It's simple. Okay, well, let me just give myself some love because we all make mistakes. And let me just transcend that and move forward. Or how can they not trust what I got to say? I am psychic. How could they be skeptical? That's an ego thing too. That's a putting someone down for where they are in their evolution. So even though I didn't say that out loud in my mouth, I had it in the mind. So I was like, you know what? Let me not even give that any power. And I'm able to laugh about it instead of beating myself like, ugh, why would I have that as a thought? Oh my God. And another thing that's coming in as I talk about this is something I talked to my partner about. I'm just letting it download. Give me 1 second. This is a big one. I feel like, so many people have gone through this. Maybe they still go through this. And yeah, let's touch upon this. These floating bubbles of thoughts, right, that come through passingly. They just come through. And as they come through, some are pleasant, some are not. They come from your neighbor. They come from someone down the street. They come from whoever's in your home. They come from energies floating around you. They come from past experiences. They come from blockages in your chakras. They come from dreams. They come from many spaces, right? So as they come, some feel great, some do not. I feel like as humans, a lot of people will get hung up, get that hook, right? They will hook themselves to the thought that wasn't pleasant, even if they didn't act on it. And they'll be like, woe is me. Why did I even think that? Like, why was that even there? Where did that come from? And it's okay to look at it and be like, I wonder where that did come from. Because you want to dismantle it. You want to transcend it. Maybe it's a continuous thought where you're beating yourself up and it was very unpleasant and you don't love it and you don't like it and you don't want that to happen again. Let me give you some pointers. For myself, someone who has very much so done a lot of healing work in stopping the chronic analytical overthinking of the same thing over and over again. As I practice what I'm preaching and I continuously look at this for myself, I want to give you a tip. So for people who do this, who, are trying to crack the ice on this, instead of focusing on the negative thought, try this, see how it works. If this resonates, instead of working on the thought that you don't like and saying, oh my God, I don't want this thought. Oh my God, go away. Oh, and you're fighting it. Instead of addressing it with that energy of fighting or fleeing, right? Look at it without judgment. Look at it without judgment. Observe it. Witness it with a lot of love. And if you have any words that come into mind, maybe just observe it with, okay, that's interesting. Be neutral. in the way that you observe it. Don't hate it. Don't resent it. Don't be bitter over it. Just be like, okay. And if that's challenging and you find yourself not being able to do that, then okay, allow the emotion to come up. If it's hate, if it's all these other things, allow it to come up. But as soon as you allow it to come up and you feel what you feel, understand this as an underlying tone. You are protected by God. Understand this as an underlying tone. There is peace behind every chaos or perceived chaos. Go into it with that intentionality that you are protected by God and that you can accept that protection. Accept that peace as you look at it, even if the emotions start to overflow and you're feeling these things of sadness, hate, resentment, bitterness, disappointment, right? As you look at the thought that you weren't in love with, right? Allow yourself to feel it. And also go into it with intentionality of, I'm going to transcend this thought. Even if that means putting my index finger up and making some circles as I'm doing right now with some light energy. And I'm envisioning some goldish bronze color coming out of my finger and making a circular counterclockwise or clockwise motion where I'm transcending that thought. And I'm speaking life and light. And I'm presenting so much love towards that thought, towards that energy, towards that emotion that I had, towards everything that I went through, towards the conditioning, towards that image, towards that imagery, that sound, what I'm seeing that wasn't so pleasant. I'm making that emotion with my finger, seeing all that gold, that light come out of it towards that thought, towards that energy bubble that maybe I know where it came from, or maybe I'm confused about where that thought came from. It's okay. The point is that you didn't like the thought and you want the thought to transcend, right? So let's be intentional about transcending it. Let's be intentional about feeling our feelings. And if you don't want to feel it completely and to the point where it's like, meaning like you already felt the feeling, right? You allowed yourself to have that expression, but then you continuously go back into it and day after day after day for years. And you're like, I want to go back to that feeling because it makes me feel sad, and being sad is very familiar and I don't want to feel joy right now. Then that's a whole different story. I don't advise people to keep doing that. That's just creating your own hell. And I know what that feels like. I've had therapists who believed in rehashing, and rehashing didn't do anything for me but create a hell and repetitiveness in a cycle where it just got worse. So when I decided intuitively to just stop with certain practices that weren't serving me anything of high vibration, I started healing a lot better, a lot faster, more grace, more fun. And the energy bubbles of thought that came through my mind that didn't feel so pleasant, if I really needed to look at that and feel the feeling behind it, I allowed that to happen. But I did it with intentionality where I transcended it because I have that power within me through God to do so. Instead of rehashing the same thought over and over, fighting it, being like, oh my God, why was I even there? Oh my gosh, why would that even happen? Oh my gosh, will I even do that? And fearing the thought, instead of dissecting it in that way, I did something different with my energy, you know? So I advise people to go about it that way. And when you do that, do it with so much grace and love for yourself, because it's not going to feel all that great at first, but eventually you're going to get to a point where it's like, I love doing this. I love making these energy bubble circles. I love exuding my power and like seeing the gold come out of my hands and feeling that vibration in my feet. And I love, you're getting joy out of it. You're getting fun out of it. You're allowing yourself to be a kid, Like in Harry Potter, when you're having the wand and you're saying all these spells, look at it like a fun game where it's like, okay, I'm not going to take this thought seriously. I'm going to let it pass through. I'm going to feel emotion if I have any. Maybe you won't have emotion towards it. Maybe you will. I'm not here saying like you will definitely have a sad emotion towards the thought that you had. It may go through and you may feel like a little weird about it and be like, oh, that was strange. And then you'll just let it pass through. And then maybe you'll think about it a couple hours later and be like, what was that about? And maybe you won't beat yourself up for it. That's great. But if you do and you find yourself like overanalyzing and to the point where you can't even enjoy your day, look at it. Look at it without judgment. Look at your feelings without judgment. But be intentional about transcending, because that's what we're evolving to. That's why we're here. I don't agree when it comes to practitioners and people who say, no, you got to feel stuck. It's okay to feel stuck and like stay stuck. Or people who say stuff like, it's okay to dog yourself. It's okay to come down on yourself. I don't agree with that. I really don't. Otherwise, what are we evolving to? Why did we come here in the first place? We came here to evolve with a childlike heart, making mistakes and everything, but with intentionality to not continuously make the same mistake over and over. That's how you rise above, not allowing yourself to stay stuck. Because allowing yourself to stay stuck means you're not taking accountability. You're not taking accountability for your actions. Yeah, you're wanting that. It's like in Korra. I don't know if you've seen that show, Korra. It was the second Avatar on Nickelodeon. It's on Netflix. I highly recommend that show. I'm low-key obsessed with that show. But for anyone who didn't see it, I don't want to give a spoiler, but I'll tell you this part. At some point, Korra, who was the new Avatar after Aang, she got poisoned with some I think it was platinum. And there was like beads of silvery residue in her system. So because of that, it was more challenging for her to stay in the Avatar state. It was more challenging for her to feel joy. It was more challenging for her to transcend those flashbacks she was having. And there was parts of the shows where she would face her shadow. There was someone who looked just like her in the Avatar state with a chain on her hand. And she looked like in distress. She looked like she had a lot of dark energy around her. This is the shadow. It looked like she had a lot of dark energy around her. And she was fighting her shadow. She was scared of her shadow. She was running away from it. And she was also fighting it. She wasn't approaching it with love at all. She wasn't approaching it with love. She was just hiding. And to the point where, she got some assistance from people from the outside who meant her well. And people were telling her, you must love. People who meant her well and some people who didn't fully mean her well, but had a good message for her. Because God will use even the foolish of people to give you a message, right? And you can't be so one-dimensional. You got to open your mind and understand that help comes from many different areas, and it's always God speaking through these people. But discern and understand like the person from the message, right? So anyways, the message that I got from watching this, it applied to me too. But for Korra, it was, people were telling her, you must love having that poison within you because you think it's my fault that I hurt you and that you can't even, if you think it's my fault that because I hurt you that you can't even move forward. No. So even her so-called enemy who put so much pain onto her, who contributed to her state of trying to recover herself through physical therapy. And, she was going through all these things. He's like, you know what? basically you just scapegoating it, you know? Yes, he caused all that pain, but at the same time, it's up to her if she wants that residue out of her. It's up to her if she wants to bet on herself. It's up to Cora to actually heal herself. And same with the master, her name was Toth, who said, you must love having that platinum in you, because if you really wanted it out, if you really wanted that poison out, you would have gotten it out of you a long time ago. And she said, well, what do you mean? Cora was like, what do you mean? Of course I want this out of me. She's like, oh yeah, then get it out. Because maybe you just want it in you to stop you from evolving, to stop you from actually becoming who you were meant to be, to actually go out there and to save the world, in a sense, as the avatar, and help people save themselves. So she was like, oh, okay, well, she felt defensive over that, of course. And I feel like we all do that as people sometimes, until you stop with the bullshit and you stop getting in your own way and you take accountability for that. And you're like, okay, enough excuses. I'm not the pain that I went through. I don't identify with the trauma I went through, the poison and the residue that's in me, the blockages that are in me. I choose to transcend that with light and love and grace and humility. And I allow myself to move forward and to keep getting to new heights with more love. The more I accept myself in my process, the more I show love to my shadow, my inner child, the more I progress. But with intentionality, I personally do not care to be around all types of people who are still dogging other people and then acting like it's a joke when it's really not. That's not really an involved human being. I know what that felt like. I had the same podcast over a year ago. I think about 3 episodes in, doing all types of bullshit, preaching things that I wasn't even really demonstrating, right? And I was more consistent in the bullshit. I was more consistent in the low vibes. I decided to take it all down, work on myself before I start trying to give advice, because I wasn't even evolved person at that point in the way that I deserved to be, because I was getting in my own way and I was being very conflicted. And it started to get to me. It got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm taking all this down. I need to be real with myself, because if I'm not real with myself, how can I be real with anybody else? Right? So as people go around calling themselves teachers, preachers, masters, I think it's okay to take a seat and to be like, I have some more work play. I'm gonna call it work play, because I don't wanna be all daunting with it and feel like you gotta work on yourself. No, but be humble enough to say, I need to take a seat. Healing is necessary. I deserve to heal. I deserve to unblock some things, right? In order for me to be consistent in this, to not fall for certain things, so that I can actually talk about it, because I'm walking in it way more, you know? That's why I don't agree with people calling themselves, I'm a teacher. No, you're just a remembering. You're someone who helps somebody remember. You're someone that helps somebody remember their divine right. I don't look at as anybody as like a master or a teacher or any of that type of thing. I look at people as my equal, and you're just here to help me remember my divine right, just like you have a divine right. And we're all evolving and we're all growing. But for those who are putting themselves out there and making this a service to help people wake up, yes, I believe everybody has a voice to do that. But I also believe it's good to understand where it's necessary to take a seat so that you can continuously unlock some things within you. Get out of your own way. Understand the moments where you actually weren't saying the best things, or you weren't really right in a situation, and be willing to transcend certain stuff within you to be more effective in the world. And I think it's very powerful to do that, to have humility, to understand that there's certain things I don't know. There's certain things I got to reorganize within myself. And yeah, that's just where I'm at. I'm not here necessarily to save the world. I'm here to save myself. And as I demonstrate that, you will see that in your own way, which can empower you to do the same for yourself. And I feel like people get hung up on that whole thing of not just confusion, not just, trying to be perfect, but, getting hung up on the passing thoughts that come through that weren't so pleasant and then dogging themselves for it. And then also people get hung up on, needing to be right and needing to, come off as if they know everything. Because if they don't, because of the title they have or the service that they provide, as if they can't take a seat. You can take a seat. You don't have to meet everybody's expectations. You're human just like anybody else. And as you do that, you can develop more in your unfolding. The more honest and more truthful you are about where you are in your process. So for me, that's how that went down. And that's why I'm back with this podcast. Deleted it over a year ago or so. Came back, same title, Vibrate in Between. With a new lens, with a new perspective. Still unfolding. I'm gonna forever unfold. There's more for me to discover about myself. There's more for me to even heal from. But I'm not falling for the bullshit when it comes to many things. And I can say that with confidence because I've been through so much that I didn't allow it to be my crutch. I transcended it with intentionality because I was so tired of being sick and tired that I allowed myself to get out of my own way, continuously get out of my own way with fun, with smiles, with joy, but with realness of I ought to do this. I deserve to do this because I'm over here understanding that if I keep arguing or if I keep doing these other things that, aren't serving me anything good, then we're wondering why collectively we're going into these experiences of global warming and, all this chaos in the nature and everything that's going on economically, just everything that doesn't feel or sound pleasant. Well, what are you doing on your day to day energetically? Because if people are going to be okay with, oh, it's okay, you can cuss somebody out, it's okay. Oh, you had a moment, it's all right. You cuss somebody out, it's all right. It's not okay to cuss somebody out. It's not okay to call somebody a name. It's not okay to belittle somebody. It's not okay to be a bully and then act like it's a joke. It's not okay. Oh, you had a moment, that's okay. I get what people are trying to say. But you got to really be careful with what you say because power is in the tongue. And we're creating spells. Do you want to create beautiful spells or do you like with magic and rainbows and love? Or do you want to create hell on earth? Be careful with what you say. And you don't have to be like all super about it. But really, look at it and be like, okay, yeah, I could have said that better. Yeah, I'd rather not do that. Because that doesn't sound fun. That doesn't sound happy. That sounds like a projection. And if I don't like what I'm seeing out in the world or how somebody's doing something, how can I learn how to love that aspect of myself? Because what I'm seeing outside of me is just an aspect of myself within that I deserve to love. We're all connected. And that's very challenging for some people, but I invite people to do this because that's worth it. That's true unconditional love. And if you're confused how to do that, look at anybody that irritates the hell out of you. Look at anybody doing something that annoyed you and approach it with compassion in your mind. You don't always have to say something to somebody. Well, start with your mind. What thought came through your mind? Don't beat yourself up for having that thought if it's more of a low vibe. But be intentional about what you do with that thought. Are you going to let it fester? Is something going to come out your mouth next? Are you going to do something physically about it? And is everything that you're doing coming from light? Is everything you're doing coming from honesty and trust? Is everything you're doing coming from living your authentic life? Or is it coming from people pleasing, meeting people's expectations, being harsh on yourself or other people, ridiculing and overly criticizing somebody and judging somebody? You gotta be real with yourself. And the more we're real with ourselves with love, the more blunt we are with love, right? Not with putting someone down. Because when you put somebody down, you're putting yourself down. When you hate somebody, when you're hating on somebody, you're just hating on yourself. You don't deserve to hate yourself, right? None of us do. Have kindness towards somebody with where they are in their evolution process, because even if it may not so-called look like they're evolving, trust and believe they are. But I personally deserve to be around people who are choosing more and more each and every day to evolve, to look at their stuff with kindness, with fun, with happy-go-lucky nature, with positivity, not dogging themselves and being like, dark night of the soul, this and that, not dogging themselves and being like, oh my God, this fucking shadow, not dogging themselves and being like, like, I love you. I have to love you from a distance because I'd rather be around people consistently who are more kind to themselves, more kind to the darkness, the shadow, be more kind to their evolution process and being intentional about their evolution process. They're not allowing themselves to stay stagnant and stuck. They're allowing themselves to transcend everything with light, without judgment, because this is how they're moving to higher levels. So I invite people like that into my life. I'm more consistently around that type of energy because I myself, I don't desire to be stuck. I desire to evolve, and I'm still evolving, and I'm still looking at my stuff with love. And that's how money comes in. That's how genuine friendship comes in. That's how everything comes in that's of the higher light. Ethical things come in that way. So that's how I'm saying it. That's how I see it. And honestly, God talking to me helps shift my perspective too, because when God talks to me, when God talks through me, it's more than just for me, and it's helping me dismantle whatever was trying to linger, like that platinum that was in Cora. I mean, a lot of humans have residue. Maybe they're not aware of it because they're so used to operating in a certain way. But I invite you to watch that show. It is dope. It is funny. It has actions. It's a cartoon. And I love cartoons. It's anime. It's on Netflix. Korra. The Legend of Korra. That's the title of it. And it's therapeutic too. And I enjoy it. My boyfriend loved it too. But yeah, for me, confusion, I invite it because it's just another way for me to get my clarity. And it will come eventually. So take it easy, y'all. Don't be so hard on yourselves. Love on yourself more and more every single day. You're already loving on yourself. I give you credit for doing that. You are beautiful. You are divine. You already know who you are. It's just a matter of remembering it more and more every single day. Continuously keep loving on yourself because you deserve it. You're already doing it. You're already taking steps, right? So you deserve to continuously do that for yourself. My services are on my website, tiarachantel.com. You can see me from there. You can email me. My Instagram is tiarachantelcoaching. Hit me up, DM me. Happy to talk. Happy to book an appointment. I'm having some individual services as well If you're not looking for a package plan for some spiritual life coaching assistance, I do have more accessible offerings. So if you're looking for a one-off, a single session with just yourself, if you're over 20 years old, let me know. We can book something all on my website, tiarachantel.com. Thank y'all for listening. Go out there, enjoy your life as you always do, continuously loving on yourself. Talk to you soon.